What you know about these nights? Stacking bars to the 3-5. Got my juice on the trees like when it's night, man, I see like no.
Yes, guys, we're joined back here with another episode of Sideline Stories. Now, we're joined here today by the two club presidents, okay? We're joined here by Leigh, the president, and the big chairman and the big president, Matt, okay? So today, our episode is going to be a bit different, okay? It's a bit of controversy and a bit of an opinionative subject, okay? So we're going to talk about our all-time 11, but it's going to be a would you rather base, okay? So I'm going to select two players and you have to pick one or the other, okay? So it has to be one or the other. You have to give your opinion why you chose that player, why you're not going to choose the other player, and we're just going to see what our starting 11s would look like, okay? So starting off with goalkeeper, okay? Touchy subject. Would you rather, I'm going to start with Matt first. Would you rather David De Gea or Ederson?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think on your goalkeeping ability, you'd have to say De Gea is the better goalkeeper. But depending on how you want to play, Ederson obviously has his skill set. But I think purely based on the fact that I think a goalkeeper should be a goalkeeper first and not think he's a deep-lying midfielder, I'd have to go for De Gea.
Okay, so we've got De Gea. All right, then cool. What about you, Leigh? Who'd you pick? Who'd you rather, David De Gea or Ederson as your starting keeper?
Yeah, I mean, I would mirror what Matt just said then, in the sense of obviously Ederson. Pep chose Ederson for a reason, and the reason why is how they play football. Quick supply, great on the ball. He could probably play in midfield if he wanted to. But yeah, pure goalkeeping ability minus an error every now and then from De Gea recently. De Gea just pips that, I think.
All right, cool. Yeah, I think I'd pick De Gea as well, just simply because if you're talking about goalkeeping ability, obviously De Gea is probably the better out of the two in terms of shot stopping and the overall game as a goalkeeper. In terms of playing with their feet, though, you know, Ederson does, you know, take that one. But obviously, as a goalkeeper, you're not looking for them playing from their feet as much. You're looking for their goalkeeping ability in between the sticks. So yeah, I think we can all agree there that the man would have in goal would be David De Gea. Now, we're going to move on to right back. And this was going to be a touchy one for the Palace fans. So, would you rather... I'll start with Leigh first. Would you rather Aaron Wan-Bissaka or Trent Alexander-Arnold?
I mean, I've got to take all biasness out of this, haven't I presume?
Yeah, you've got to take all biases.
No, you're allowed to stick with biases.
You can do what you want to do. It's your opinion, isn't it? Who would you rather?
Again, it depends. If a defender is supposed to defend, then all day long, Wan-Bissaka, because he technically he's the best one-on-one defender at the moment. But then you can't look past Trent's assists, goals, etc. What else he adds to the team. But I'm going on purely defending and purely because Trent plays for Liverpool. I'm going for AWB.
I think there was some bias stuff as well because, you know, AWB used to play for Palace. So, you know, you're always going to pick him. You're always going to pick him, aren't you? Regardless, it could be bloody Cafu versus AWB and you still pick AWB because he played for Palace. So it is what it is. So you're going to go AWB over Trent, yeah? Matt, what about you?
Oh, well, the points picked out by Mr. Snag over there are very valid. I think if you are again looking defensively, AWB would be the better choice. I think Liverpool have managed to get away for the past 18 months without actually playing a right fullback. He's basically playing as a right winger because their team's good enough to basically play with 2.5 at the back. So I'd probably have to agree with Snaggers and go with Wan-Bissaka because I prefer the defensive side of the game now.
It's some good valid points, but if we was in 2005, I would definitely pick AWB because, you know, back then, you know, there wasn't as much wing backs back then. You know, it was all about the defending. But the game's developed now. The game's adapted, and I feel like a good attacking fullback is what, you know, the top coaches are looking for these days. So
So you'd all have to say, to make a properly informed decision, you'd have to know who's playing right midfield ahead of him.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah,
if you put Trent in a team that doesn't play like Liverpool, doesn't dominate the ball like Liverpool, put him in an Everton or a Palace, for example, will he be able to do what he does still? Will he have the opportunity to do that? And can he defend? Don't know. He doesn't need to.
Yeah, that's true. But I do feel like as the game's developed now and what we're looking for in fullbacks, you know, they're it's as important for them to attack as defend. And I think if AWB was to, you know, develop more and increase his attacking outplay, then he'll be able to, you know, overtake Trent. I think that's the only thing holding him back at the moment, is that him going up the pitch isn't as good as him defending. So he needs to develop on that. But I feel like because of the style of play that I'll play my team, I would pick Trent. I think Trent would definitely sit at right back for me there. But I do think if AWB in the next few years, maybe a year or so, does improve his attacking game, then he could, you know, slide into, even in England as well, he could overtake Trent for England, because as a defender, like solely based on defending, he is a better defender and tackler than Trent. But in terms of what he offers you on the pitch as a right back, in terms of attacking play and his defending, I would have to pick Trent. So my right back for that reason will be Trent. So yeah, that's just purely based on that. Right, centre backs, a tough one. Right, would you rather? I got one, yeah. Would you rather David Luiz or Rudiger? Matt, you're first. David Luiz or Rudiger?
Well, that's a tough one, because I like both of them. You'd almost make an argument that it'd be a decent partnership together.
Well, that flop didn't really kind of work well at Chelsea, but yeah.
It didn't, but it could have worked. It should have worked. I think you've got to look at the manager of that. You've only got to look at how poor Luiz was when he played under Emery at Arsenal, and then Arteta came along and all of a sudden decided he could be bothered and played properly. And purely for that reason, I think I'd rather have Rudiger, because he seems a bit more of a team character, whereas Luiz, if he's not interested, he's not interested and can't be bothered.
So that's a good point, to be fair. What about you, Lee? Who'd you pick? Who'd you rather?
Yeah, for me, this is a bit slightly easier. I mean, David Luiz can be world class some games, and in another game he can be I don't know what he's doing. So I wouldn't be able to trust him in that sense at all. Where Rudiger, I think, is a more reliable, more consistent. What Matt was saying there as well about the team ethic. I think Luiz is more out for himself usually, but in terms of being a centre back, I mean, definitely Rudiger.
Yeah, I think being a Chelsea fan as well, I've seen them both play for my team and both seen what they could be capable of, and I think that David Luiz is very head loss. You know, 1 minute it will be on top of his game, the next minute he'll try to play centre mid and just leave a massive hole and break the line. So I think all day, I think it would have to be Rudiger. I think Rudiger's the guy that, you know, in terms of defending, I think he's better. And I think, yeah, David Luiz has his head loss. You know, some days he'll be on top form, some days he'll, you know, try and dribble the ball from centre back all the way to striker and get tackled, and, you know, won't do what he needs to do. So yeah, I think Rudiger back there as well. Right, left back's a tough one, because at the moment there's probably only one real world-class left back in the league. Has anyone got any suggestions for left backs?
Well, you're obviously mentioning Robertson, aren't you?
Yeah, Robertson, yeah. So I don't think anyone can really compete with him. So I need to try and think of other left backs in the league.
I don't know what I could think he's unproven would be Tierney, but let's just say he's unproven, so I don't think that would even really be a question.
No, I don't know. You can compare him. You can compare him against Luke Shaw. Who else is actual left back who he knows consistently?
What about Chilwell? Well, obviously, Oh, you can't really compare. Robertson's the best in the game, so you can't really compare Robertson to anyone, really. What about... All right, what about... Let's try and think about this. Where's Doherty play? He's a right back, isn't he?
Hmm. And also, you got to think about again the same thing with like Trent and Robertson. I mean, yeah, he's the best because there's no one else to compete with him. But I still, again, defensively, doesn't really get tested at all, does he? This is as you say, the new style of. But there's no one else to compete, so he's got. I presume he's got.
Previously, at previous clubs, I would say Robertson proved himself more defensively than his fullback counterpart.
Yeah.
What about... All right, I've got one ready. Here's a good one. Chilwell or Luke Shaw? Who'd you rather in your team? Leigh.
I suppose, I don't know. Probably from consistency, maybe Chilwell. Luke Shaw's either injured or he was at the team. He's back in now. He seems to be improving again, coming back to. He had massive potential obviously before he joined. But for consistency over the couple of years or so, Chilwell just about for me. That's not an easy one really. Both more on the same level. But Chilwell as well.
What about you, Matt?
Again, agree with the comments by Mr. Snag. But I think I'd take the opposite view. I think I'd lean towards Shaw if nothing else. He seems to have a really good time pissing off Mourinho. So if nothing else, he's worth a part of the team.
Oh, do you know what it is about Shaw though? I think because Shaw went to the 2014 World Cup, didn't he, as like a young boy, and he didn't really. I know he had injuries and stuff, but he never really took off to what he should have been. You know, like he never really lived up to the potential that he had. And obviously, I know it's not his fault because obviously injuries he's had and stuff. But I feel like in that time, a lot of people have overtaken him, and I feel like even though his place at United is probably not safe anymore, they're probably looking to, you know, get someone else in and replace him. So I think if Shaw would have lived up to his expectations and not got injured, because obviously that injury he had was bad, I reckon probably Shaw would be one of the best left backs England would have. But I do think that's because of recent form and just the rise of Chilwell. I would have to say I'd put Chilwell on my team. Because I mean, Leicester are flying at the moment. You know, I think he's like cemented his place in England's lineup as well. So I would have to go with Chilwell. So our back five so far pretty much looks the same. I think the only person we didn't agree with, and I think there's just some biased picks there, was with the right back. You know, we didn't pick the same right back. But other than that, I think it was all cool. So we'll play 4-3-3 in this formation. Okay, so the three in the middle now.
Who was the other centre back?
We're missing a centre back.
Oh
Yeah, Rudiger. Yeah.
All right, cool. We was. All right, here's one.
I just assumed that you'd picked Terry there, so that's why I was just go past.
I would. Terry. We're gonna touch base on that a bit later, but here's another one. Ready? Nathan Ake or Harry Maguire? Matt, I'll go with you first.
That's a tough one because although they carry out their duties in a vastly different manner. You know, Ake, you say would be someone who play closer to his centre forward and maybe a bit more kind of man to man. So you've got a bit of pace about him so he can recover from mistakes. Whereas Maguire is obviously the second slowest centre back ever known to man after Per Mertesacker, mainly because his head weighs 17 stone. But there's a reason why Man United bought him. There's a reason why he was a big part of the England team. That unfortunately lost to Croatia. So bearing in mind he's playing alongside Rudiger, who's got a bit of pace about him, I would probably lean towards Maguire because he's immense in the air and he's got good leadership qualities. So I'd lean towards Maguire.
Some fair comments there, to be fair. It's a tough one, to be fair. What about you, Leigh? Who'd you pick? Who's your other? Ake or Maguire?
I agree with what Mr. Roberts said about the different style of play for each player. I think Maguire's got very limited ability, and what he does have, he uses it obviously to his strengths. I think he also looked a lot better at United purely because of what they had previously. So he was always going to be an upgrade. They could have bought Lewis Dunk, and it would have been an improvement. But I suppose as I say, I think he limited ability, but Maguire just pips it because he knows how to use it. And obviously in the air, both boxes, he's effective.
Yeah, do you know what it is? It's a tough one, You have to really think about it because if Ake was playing for United, right, if United had bought Ake, how good would Ake be right now? Because Ake's doing brilliant at Bournemouth. And even if he was stayed at Chelsea, if he would have stayed at Chelsea, how good would he be at this current time? Because, Lamps is playing the young boys and because he has to. But
I can see that Chelsea won't come through right now.
It is tough though, because if you put to be fair, they'd make a good partnership together. But if you put Ake, I'm gonna have to go for Maguire. I'm gonna have to go for Maguire. I think in the big games as well, Maguire lives up to the expectation better. It's against the big clubs, and obviously Ake plays for Bournemouth, but I feel like Maguire, lives up to what's expected of him. But saying that though, I think if Ake gets a big move or a move to a bigger club in the next year or so, I reckon he can go right to the top because he's a quality centre half. He plays for the Dutch national team with Van Dijk, so I reckon there's a bit more experience in the club he's playing for. I reckon go right to the top. But yeah, I think I'll go for Harry Maguire in that situation there. So again, back to the back five. I think we've got the same back five now, other than the right back. So the right back's obviously changed because of the I just believe that Trent's better than AWB and will do for a while. But yeah, we'll play 4-3-3. So the guys in the middle, right? This one's a tricky one. I've seen a lot of it online, and I reckon it just needs settling. So Jack Grealish or James Maddison? Who are you picking? Matt first.
Oh, yeah. Good choice to pick those two against each other. I think Maddison's obviously doing it at the bigger club at Leicester. They're doing very well in the league, and he's part of the driving force to carry them up to where they are and how well they're doing. But for me, Grealish has just got that, one of the better phrase, a little bit of cuntishness to go with his skill that just makes him something special.
Yeah, definitely.
I think all of those kind of best players that were, if you look back through the past, like someone like Cantona and someone like Perkin, always had a little bit of nasty streak in them, a little bit of being a prick. And I don't think Maddison's got that. Grealish has, and I think that will carry him through to the very top. So I'd go Grealish.
Yeah, I agree with that, to be fair. Leigh, what about you? What would you pick?
I agree with those comments. I mean, I think obviously Maddison's still a very good player, very quite high potential that he's got. But he's obviously got other quality players around him. They've got a decent team, really, decent squad. So it's not all about him. Grealish seems to be able to take the game by himself with Villa because they don't really got attacking well, and he seems to still be able to pull it off as and when required. That bit of cuntishness, as you put it, is that kind of thing, especially if you're a big fish in a small pond, and Hawks and Villa are a small pond now. I think he's shining still. And I think if he was at a better club who were supplying him the ball rather than being able to go and get it himself, I think he could progress even further. So, yeah, just Grealish.
Yeah, I think. Do you know what it was? I think because Grealish had been in the Prem already anyway with Villa when they was in it a few years ago. He didn't really live up to expectations that were set for him. But I feel like he's come in now as a more mature player. He's a leader now, isn't he? Because he wasn't a captain beforehand. But I do feel like at the beginning of the season, I would have said Maddison, because Maddison, hit the ground running. He was spot on as the season started. But I think as the season's gone on so far, Grealish has really carried his team, and Villa are a relegation team at the moment, and what he's done for them in terms of leading them and doing what he can do with them, I feel like he's done a great job as a player, and he's also scored some important goals for them to keep them in the game and obviously take them to the League Cup final versus City. Whereas Leicester with Maddison, as you said, guys have said, he's got quality players around him. Like Leicester are third in the Premier League. I feel like his jobs are just a tiny bit easier just because of obviously the quality of players around him. So I do, as Leigh said, I feel like if Grealish was at a bigger club, I feel like he would definitely be overshadowing Maddison. So I'm gonna go with Grealish as well on my team as my first choice centre mid. Next one. Kante or Fernandinho? Leigh. Kante or Fernandinho? Who are you picking in your squad?
Well, I mean, Kante's obviously he's had some seasons where he's been untouchable, unplayable for Leicester and for Chelsea. That's a tough one because they're both very important to their team. I mean, you could tell just from City, as good a players they've got. When he wasn't there and they're sticking in bloody John Stones and whoever else, they're all over the shop, really. And then obviously, even though they've had other centre-backs, they were still sticking him at centre-back because he thinks he's that good.
Yeah, cool.
So, I'll probably have to go with him just for the sheer fact that City have got such a good team and it was still noticeable when he wasn't there, the difference with him playing and him not playing. So I think just for that, as good as I think Kante is, I think like by 1%, Fernandinho just older now.
Oh, right. We definitely don't like the Chelsea boys, do we? Matt, what about you? Who are you picking? Kante or Fernandinho?
It is quite tough because they perform a lot of the same functions and they're both excellent players. I think personally I'll be leaning towards Fernandinho because he has a bit of adaptability if required, and secondly, if he was playing in midfield, which is where we're looking at, he will be more likely to grab a goal than Kante, and that would be my choice.
Right. I'm just trying to not be biased here, but I'm just trying to, give my honest opinion. But they're both quality players, and I feel like they both do what they do very well for their teams. And I feel like they're both very important players and kind of not underrated, but they're not really like the superstars of their squad just because the stuff they do in their team is very nitty-gritty stuff. But I do feel like the key thing is that Man City are one of the best teams in the league. And Fernandinho being a part of that, gives them a bit of an edge, whereas Kante's been in a team that's been a bit struggling the last 2 seasons, I'd say. Kante is also the best CDM in the world, hands down. No arguing about that. He's the best one to grace the planet right now.
He's up to debate.
Nah, he definitely is. He's 28.
That's kind of what we're doing in this exact position. So
2018, he won the World Cup with France as a CDM. Didn't come off the back of that, not playing as a CDM, played more as an attacking role for Chelsea in the midfield three. But in that centre defensive midfielder role, he is the best in the world in that position. I don't think no one can. Fernandinho's close to him, but I don't think no one can really step on his little stool that he has right at the top. Back-to-back Premier League winner with 2 different teams, World Cup winner, Europa League winner, all in 4 years. I know Fernandinho's done well at City, fantastic, but it just hasn't really lived up to hasn't really done well in the Champions League and stuff like that. So my my guy is going to have to be Kante. And I know I'm a Chelsea fan. I know it's going to seem biased, but
What, really? Kante?
He's captain as well.
Kante is my captain. He's my triple captain. He's getting me bonus points, everything, you know. He's
talk?
just... Huh?
Does he even talk? Does he even talk?
Doesn't need to talk. Everyone just gets the aura around him. You know, they look at him, they just know the level that's expected of them every match day. So I am going to have to pick Kante. And as I said, he is the best centre defensive midfielder in the world. I don't think no one can really say that. I think just because of Chelsea's poor form as a club, I feel, and just the way he's been played, you know, he's been played as a more of an attacking midfielder than a defensive one. I feel like that's people have forgotten about him slightly. But if Chelsea were doing what they should be doing and actually being a top club, even more than they are, then people be singing his praises again. Because when we won the league that time, last time, you know, he undoubtedly was the best CDM in the world, you know, just because he was in a good place then. But yeah, so my centre defensive midfielder or centre mid will be Kante all day long. No doubt about it. Right, next one, we're going to go to some young guns now. And this one's a bit trickier because they haven't really been in the game for too long. So we're just going to have to judge them on what we've seen so far. But I'm going to go Mason Mount and Cantwell. Matt?
For me, that's nigh on impossible. I don't think I've ever seen Cantwell play a whole match. So by default, Mason Mount wins because I've actually seen him play.
Love that. Got some more Chelsea boys in the team. What about you? Because I know you know about Cantwell because you and your brother always put him in your fantasy team. So,
Deep.
Cantwell or Mason Mount? Who are you having?
I believe Mason Mount has more potential. Mason Mount has more about his game already. Cantwell's probably, it's a bit unfair for Cantwell considering he's playing with substandard players, really. But yeah, there's not much else to say because I haven't seen much about him, but definitely Mount for me. Look, he's Chelsea as well. There you go.
Exactly. Come straight from your mouth there. But yeah, I feel I mentioned that one because I've seen a lot of people, you know, talking a lot about Cantwell, and he's a good player. But people comparing him to Mount and saying that Mount was, you know, not as good as him. But I do believe what Mount's achieved this season, coming straight from playing for Derby last year, he's achieved a lot. He hasn't achieved like substantially great stuff, but he's done good this year. Especially being thrown kind of in the deep end with Chelsea, especially what's expected at the club. So yeah, all day, every day, Mason Mount. So Mount and Kante, you know, little partnership in the middle we got there. Right, front three now.
Kante was outvoted, just so you know.
Pardon?
Kante was outvoted. So.
Yeah, he was outvoted. So.
Nah, well, yeah, Matt, yeah. Anyway, front three. Right, this one's going to be a good one because I've had a lot of debates about this all year. And it's a good one to have. So we're going to have the first one. Pepe versus Wilfried Zaha. Who are you having in your team? Roberts, who are you having in your team? Pepe or Wilfried Zaha?
I mean, they play on opposite sides of the pitch, so in real life, it's not really a direct comparison. But
we're just going to pretend today that they're both on the same side of the pitch, yeah?
Yeah, no, I am, obviously.
Yeah.
On what they have achieved in the Premier League to date, I think you'd have to go with Zaha. But I'm a massive fan of Pepe. He's only been in the Premier League for, 5 months, 6 months, whatever it is. And there's only been flashes of what he can do, but he's settling into a new country, a new club. I genuinely think he'll go on to be better than Zaha because I think he's amazing. But what they've achieved in the Premier League to date, you'd have to do Zaha.
Good choice. What about you? Obviously, we know what you're going to pick, right? There's no point in asking you, is there?
No, but I agree with Roberts in the sense of the longevity and what Zaha's done. But obviously, I see Zaha week in, week out, and I know his weaknesses. And I see where Pepe could
I see
potentially
more highlight reel than whole game. So,
Hey?
I see more highlight reel than whole game.
Yeah. I mean, no, I believe he's obviously a fantastic player, but I know his weaknesses, and I've seen what he can and can't do. But I mean, Pepe, as Robert said, potentially could be better than him in the future, but it's way too soon to really compare them as such, I would say. And obviously, I'm going to pick Zaha anyway. But I think it's granted in terms of the longevity. He's been there a good few years now, and he should have moved clubs by now. He's still doing a lot more work than he needs to do. He's not in the box enough because of how we play. So if he doesn't move this summer, then he's going to be a Palace player forever, whether he likes it or not.
You'd love that, innit? Got your club forever. I'm going to pick Callum Hudson-Odoi. I think he just takes them both out of the water. Oh, I'm joking. Well, Callum Hudson-Odoi is a quality player, and yeah.
Where did this even come from?
Yeah, I just throw him in there because I didn't want to add him in there right now because he's a young boy. You got to nurture him into the game properly. But yeah, in a few years, he's definitely overtaking Wilfried Zaha. That's all I know. Wilfried Zaha. I think I read on the stats he's played the most games and the most minutes out of all three of them, and he's on the worst out of all three so far. So, but anyway, let's Hudson-Odoi. Back onto Pepe or Zaha. Who'd have on my team?
William, yeah?
Terry, pick Terry up front.
I would have. I mean, when Pepe first come in, I'm not going to lie to you, and I think most people like this as well. I don't think anyone really knew too much about him because he come from the Farmers League, and everyone was, well, a lot of Arsenal fans are ranting and raving about his 23 goals he scored in the Farmers League and all of that. But yeah, I didn't really know too much about him, and just because of his price tag, I feel like a lot more people have expected a lot more from him, especially me. Because you're coming in at what was it, 80 mil? Coming in at 80 mil, you're expected to make a immediate impact in the squad. But credit to him, it is his first season in the Prem, and the Premier League is the best and hardest league in the world, so he needs some time to adapt. So really, we need to try and judge him from next year, really. He's had, well, albeit most of the season, to try and learn and adapt what he can and can't do in the Prem. As I said, I think he's been in the Premier League a bit more. He deserves to be in a bigger club than the small one in South London, the one playing Fulton Heath. So he deserves to be at, a team like Chelsea, to be fair. I think we'd have him all day long. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Wilfried Zaha in that position right there. I feel like we've had the same sort of team. I feel like we haven't really picked anyone different. I feel like we all have the same. You know what it means? It just means we all have the same good footballing brain. That's what it means,
Fernandinho in the middle, we're laughing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how that was. Right, striker. Let's make this controversial. I feel like I'm gonna mix up a little bit. I'm mixing it up. Sergio Aguero.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
or Thierry Henry.
What? No, we're not doing. Okay.
I've mixed it up completely. He's come out of retirement. He's gone back to 2004. He's mixed it. He's wild it all up now. Leigh, I'm going to go with you first.
Well, there's two different types of play. If you want a clinical, out-and-out goal scorer, Aguero all day long. Fucking hell. All right, if you want to, I'll be here all day. Aguero. Just going to put Aguero in. Done.
That's a tough call. That's a tough one.
Yeah, not that tough. Yeah, Henry done.
Yeah, I could probably imagine you saying that real quick. Anyway, I'm always going to say one man, and I feel like he's probably one of the best players that ever graced the Premier League, and that has. Even though I'm a Chelsea fan, it has to be Henry. I feel like both Aguero and Henry are fantastic players, and they've done amazing numbers in the Premier League. But I feel like what Henry could do that Aguero can't is that Henry can literally change the game on his own. he can literally pick the ball up and just do some amazing stuff. Whereas Aguero, he kind of needs his team to feed him for him to score them goals. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Henry on my team. Thierry Henry is definitely gonna start.
Both answers aren't a bad answer. That's the trouble with him, isn't it? Because I mean, yeah, I still believe Aguero is a far better finisher because Henry did miss quite a lot of chances, but Henry had so much more about his game. But I'm picking out and out goal scorer in the box, in the box, Aguero, just purely for that. No, he scored loads of goals. He's a fantastic.
And I feel like another factor as well was that Aguero, when he plays for City, which he's played most of his career at City, he's played as the main striker, whereas Henry was played more on the left-hand side and had to, caress himself in or glide across the pitch, as I shall say, into the box to score. So for him, it was a lot. For him, it should be harder for him to score goals because of where he's positioned on the pitch. He wasn't the out-and-out striker. He was more on the left-hand side, floating, gliding, whatever you want to call it, into the box to score. But yeah, I just feel like Henry offered more. I feel like for your team, he could do more. I think he's Henry all day.
I think you should have put in a Firmino and someone else. That would have made it tricky. Someone like that, and then
we can change it, right? We could do it. Have you got any suggestions?
Isn't there one more to pick?
Yeah, we've got another winger. But I want to hear Lee's suggestion. Maybe another suggestion with Firmino.
Controversial one, because obviously, if we were going to stick to current, then controversial would be something like Firmino, who is supposedly a number 9, supposedly a striker.
I'll go whoever else you're going to say. That's who I'm going to pick.
You've got those kind of things. You've got that, but he does obviously a hell of a lot more than score goals. Well, then you've got someone like...
All right, it is one. Who's driving your team? Tammy Abraham or Firmino?
Oh, stop it. No, don't be that kind of...
Who would you rather in your team? Tammy Abraham or Firmino?
Firmino all day long.
Well, I don't know about that. All right, here's one. Jamie Vardy. Who can pipe with Jamie Vardy? Jamie Vardy or Harry Kane?
Harry Kane.
I don't know. If we're talking about 2018 Harry Kane, I'd say Harry Kane. But I'm convinced he's done and he'll never get back to as good as he was. And Vardy is better than ever. So in 2020, if there was ever football allowed to be played again, I'd probably lean towards Vardy.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I'd pick Vardy. I feel like he's I'd prefer Vardy. I don't really like Kane, to be fair. I'm trying to think who could mix it up with Firmino.
Jimenez, someone who, well, no, he's just a squad. There isn't really many people like Firmino. That's the trouble.
Yeah, to be fair as well, I'd rather have Jimenez than Firmino on my team. Yeah, I'd rather have Jimenez than Firmino.
I could think of that. You could almost kind of say played how Firmino does for Liverpool would be Fabregas at Barca. Because he was basically played up front, but a little bit deeper than actually up front. But not a lot of people playing that role like Firmino does. It's kind of... It's not really...
I think the only guy that presently does that, who did anyway, was Muller for Bayern Munich. That's probably the only guy, because he used to play in that false 9 role and have Ribery and Robin on the side. But yeah, you don't really see a lot of the strikers now are mostly out and out strikers. You don't really see a lot of the false 9 players. So why anyway, Lee?
Play with their fullbacks like they do, because they have Firmino as the focal point a bit deeper, with Salah and Mane running in though, so they're narrow. That's why they need the fullbacks to go wide.
Yeah.
So it's why, going back to the fullback debate we had earlier, it depends how your team is playing as to, on occasion, who you pick.
Yeah, definitely. Right, the last winger. Right, left wing. Who we got? All right, here's one. Mane or Salah? Which one are you having?
Oh,
Who are you asking?
I'll go with Matt first. Go on, Matt. Who are you having first?
okay. Let me think. Because Salah is someone who is better on the ball. He'll carry the ball long distances. He can pick the ball up on the halfway line. Whereas Mane's more of a running onto the ball and then being really good at finishing, to be fair. So again, although similar-ish, they do have very different skill sets. And I'm thinking with Thierry Henry and Zaha alongside him, you'd be looking at Mane because he would score an absolute hatful. So I'm going to go with Mane.
Nice answer. What about you, Lee? Who are you picking?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mane, purely on the fact of the recent, obviously they both scored loads and loads of goals, etc. But I think you started to see Salah get a bit peed off when he's not being given the ball. I think he thinks he's the bigger man now, and he's just an opportunity.
Imagine how little he'd get the ball if you had Zaha, who never passes, and Henry, who just loves the ball as well. He'd never touch the ball.
But Zaha can't cross the ball, so what happens then? It's a bit pointless, really, isn't it?
Still in your team, anyway. Yeah, so I just see him as, obviously, season he came to Liverpool, he was out of this world. But I just see now more consistently, Mane, his end product is better. He's more of a team player. He's looking up, whereas he's not. His head isn't down. Like Salah just wants to run at the moment and shoot without second thought for anyone else. So I think for team play and consistency, Mane. In terms of diving, I mean, wow. But for both of them. But anyway, yeah, Mane.
To be fair, that would be a question to add on top of this. Would be, who would you pick to dive to win your penalty, Harry Kane or Mohamed Salah?
Wilfred Zaha.
I can't believe
That's my answer for that one. Who would I pick? Salah or Mane? I think as Lee, I think it was Lee who said it, because Salah coming into the Premier League and scored 50-odd goals in his first year, I feel like he kind of gets more credit because of what he done like 2 years ago. But I feel like as the years have gone on, Mane's kind of overtaken Liverpool in terms of how important he is to the team. I mean, they're both important, but I feel like Mane will always kind of be in Salah's small shadow just because of what Salah done in his first season there. But for me personally, yeah, I'd probably have Mane in my team. You know. Salah's a great player though.
Yeah, I think you'd also have to look at how many chances Salah creates for Mane. You're saying maybe Mane is now better than him. I think that would be tough to say that personally, but I kind of get what you're saying. But I think a lot of opportunities that fall for Mane come through Salah.
Yeah, I do feel like. I feel like, as you said though, they are totally different players. Like when Salah's more of a dribbler of the ball. Like he'll get the ball and collect it and do what he can with it. Whereas Mane is more like he's a runner onto the ball and he is like the one-touch finish kind of guy once he receives it. So it's a tough one, but I'm going to say Mane. And I hope that Mane, just because I hate Liverpool and I hope they do not win the Premier League, I hope that Mane leaves and goes Real Madrid and I hope they suffer. I really hope they suffer. And I hope we never see Liverpool win. I hope I never in my lifetime see Liverpool in the Premier League. I think it would be the best day of my life in the Premier League. May get cancelled. I feel like all Liverpool fans are a load of airheads. I feel like they've got nothing in their brains.
That's a little bit too polite.
I feel like I'm just trying to be a bit PG. I feel like they just haven't got a clue. We asked the other day. We had a little debate in a little group chat about best centre halves, and one of them started bringing up centre backs from the 1930s. I mean, none of us were even born then, so I don't really understand the point of that. But just lastly, I mean, we all, you know, kind of picked the same sort of squad. So, you know, I feel like there's only one or two players that we decided not to pick each. I mean, you know, Kante was one of them, one of the greatest, you know, centre defence builders. You know, we didn't really want AWB in my team either because, you know, Trent's better than him. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. But lastly, I'm just going to finish off with who is better, Carlos Puyol or John Terry? We just got to figure this out. We just got to really figure this out. I mean, I've seen some really, really crazy things this morning saying that Puyol is better than Terry because he's won more Champions Leagues than him. I can't believe what I even saw that this morning, because how can you base someone and that same person then says that Lampard is not better than Gerrard, but then says that Puyol is better than Terry because he won more trophies. But Lampard's won more trophies than Gerrard. So what one is it? It's either Terry's better than Puyol or Lampard's better than Gerrard. What one are you going to have?
I think you need to take your issues up with the person who you have issues with. I'm not getting involved in it.
No, but I will say Terry and Gerrard. There we go. End of story.
Terry and Gerrard, perfect. Nice one, lads. I'll see you in about a few minutes. Yeah. Yes, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to add any other players to that starting 11, or you feel like we've missing any players there, please feel free to DM us or comment below who you think should be in that starting 11. But thanks for joining. Please make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay subscribed, and also check out our new Sunday League team, official DCFC, on Instagram, because we've got some things dropping on there. Peace out.
What you know about these nights? Stacking bars to the 3-5. Got my juice on the trees, like when it's night, man, I see like no.